blessings.
Administrator Chiquita Brooks LaSure, the Centers for Medicaid, Medicare, and Medicaid Services. Right now, brothers and sisters, it is our honor and our privilege to have with us today for our inspirational word, the Reverend Dr. Michael Waldron. He's the senior pastor of First Corinthian Baptist Church here in the great village of Harlem. He is a board member of the National Action Network, and he is the author of Searching for Agabus, Embracing Authenticity and Finding Your Way to You. We want to welcome the Reverend Dr. Michael Waldron. Yeah. Good morning, National Action Network. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? What an amazing time, an amazing season to be alive and here and grateful to God for all that the Lord is doing in this place. And we thank God for our leader, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, and all that he means to so many of us, not just here in this community, but around the world, literally, globally. You all know that. And so we thank God for his activism, his work. I personally thank God for his friendship, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. I got to tell you the truth, though. I was a little caught off because I thought I was going to just talk about the book, and they talked about the inspirational word. So now, so now I got to do some inspiration and the book as well. I'll come at it this way. There's this powerful passage in John in which Jesus tells the disciples that the world will hate you because the world hated me. That the world would not hate you if you had belonged to the world. But you don't belong to the world. That scripture I use actually in a chapter in the book because I use that chapter in a very particular way. In this culture right now, we are so infatuated with being validated by other people, with being affirmed by other people. And some of us who suffer with low self-esteem leave our esteem in the hands of people when we know it or not might have their own issues as well. But in our culture right now, we're told to be everything other than who we are. Look like this, dress like that, be like this, have these things, all in an effort not to be loved, but to be liked. That's what we're doing in our culture right now. If you look through social media or media, everything is telling you to be something else, to be somebody else. And if you already are growing up with a rabid insecurity and issues of inadequacy, then when you look on social media, it will not help you. In fact, there's some people I know who are constantly scrolling through social media and then wonder why they feel depressed all the time. The truth is that you would have to feel depressed when you scroll through social media, especially when you see people constantly living their best life, posting their best pictures, and then you look at your life and feel as though something is off. You don't realize that you are comparing the entirety of your life to somebody's snapshots, to somebody's highlight reels. If you take the best parts of your life and post them, everybody will be impressed. But the truth is, our lives are not always one way. They're not always mountaintop experiences, but they're also valley experiences. And I've said on numerous occasions that in my life, my 52 years of living, there are lessons I've learned in my valleys that the mountains could never teach me. There are things I've learned in my struggle that those good times don't always teach me. The truth is, we are shaped by our challenges and shaped by the things that really force us to confront ourselves. No one comes through this life unscathed. No one comes through this life wounded less or scarred less. No, we all have scars, we all have wounds, and we all have a story to tell. And the truth is, in our current culture, we're told that the only part of the narrative we want to hear are the good parts of the narrative, the good parts of the story, the parts that make people excited. Well, that is good, but if you only focus on what is good, I promise you, you will only live a half-lived life. That again, Life is a combination of the glory and the gore, the beauty and the blight, the pain and the power. It is what makes you who you are. And so you do not shun those moments of struggle. You do not shun those moments of opposition. You do not shun those moments when you feel as though your back is against the wall. Because those are the moments where you come and encounter with who you are. In fact, I know I'm not the only person in here this morning who can testify that if you look at me from the outside, it might look like all is well, but you ain't seen my midnights, you ain't seen my tears, you ain't seen my struggle, you ain't seen my heartache. But the only reason you can see me now is because the things that should have destroyed me, the things that should have killed me, the things that should have taken me under, it did not work. Is there anybody here this morning who can testify that there's some things that came your way that were designed to destroy you, but they did not work, and you're still standing here, you're still alive, you're still serving, you're still living, you're still loving, and you might as well give God praise for that, because you know if it had not been for God on your side, you don't know where you would be. Why will the world hate you? The world will hate you when you don't capitulate to the standards of mediocrity. Why will the world hate you? The world will hate you when you don't succumb to the idea that life is built on greed and selfishness. Why will the world hate you? The world will hate you because you have the audacity to believe somehow part of your charge and your call is to do something profound but quite simple. Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, give water to those who are thirsty, welcome the stranger, go visit those who are sick and in prison. That is the nature of our work and our call. But here's the problem, and I'm going to be done. Here's the problem. You are the one who has to do it. Well, why is that a problem? The real you, not the manufactured you. Not the you you've created to fit into other people's boxes. Not the new you shaped to fit into spaces that you were born to fit in the first place. Not the you who thinks that your life is dependent on the approval of unproven people. Not the you who thinks that somehow you need to be validated by people who don't even know how to love themselves. Not the you who thinks that somehow the only way you can make it in this life is to have the approval of people you think made it, and in truth, they themselves are a combination of superficiality, shallowness, and insignificance. That is not the you that can show up to do this work. It is the real you, the authentic you, the you that God sees and smiles. And so for so long, I wrestled with that in my own life, dealing with my own insecurities. And in some ways, that's why I did this book. Because so many of us have forgotten that our authenticity is our superpower. So many of us have forgotten that the one way to live this life deeply is to live it authentically. Yes. And can I tell you something? If you spend your life living for other people, looking for the approval from other people, want to be validated from other people, one day you're going to wake up and realize that no one was even paying you any attention. I close with this. Christopher Walken, the actor, said something that is quite profound. He said, if you knew how quickly the living forget the dead, you would stop living for people. Live your authentic life. Lean into life. And as I learned in Sunday school, every now and again you got to rise, shine, and give God the glory. Amen. Listen, after the rally today, I'll be signing some books here. For those who are listening, the book is Searching for Agabus, Embracing Your Authenticity, Finding Your Way Back to You. You can order those books on Amazon or wherever you order books. But I'm so happy to be here and so grateful that Reverend Sharp has afforded me this opportunity to sign some books. Amen? Amen. Peace and blessings.
I want to thank the Reverend Michael Walker Jr., Senior Pastor, First Corinthian Baptist Church in the village of Harlem. Right now, brothers and sisters, the Change Choir. Broadcasting Network, the Reverend Dr. Jonathan. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. 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 Fist bump the person next to you, tell him you love. Coming back from Essence to be here with you last Saturday, I thought I'd lost and left rather a lot of heat down south. But as the week went on, there was little difference between the temperatures in New York and the temperatures in Louisiana. And I got out the car one day with those traveling with me, and man asked me, could he speak to me a minute? We spoke, talked, took a selfie. I said, man, it's hot out here, I got to get inside. He said, Reverend, he said, he's an older man, and he said, Reverend, you should feel blessed. I said, what do you mean? He says, we used to, in the old days, in the heat, have to pick cotton. Now we picking presidents. If you keep on fighting, if you don't worry about the season, but be committed to the reason, your change will come. Your change will come. Most important things that you can do in life is have a real hands-on and gloves-off meeting with yourself. One of the reasons that we celebrate today Dr. Michael A. Walron's book, Searching for Agabus, is because too many of us lose too much time in life trying to run away from who we are. I was mentored by great men and women. I knew
Bishop Washington as a child, and let me start as a boy preacher. I knew Dr. William Augustus Jones became our pastor. Knew and was mentored by Jesse Jackson. He ran around behind Adam Clayton Powell. But all they taught me was it wouldn't matter if I didn't have a real meeting with Al Sharpton. Until you come to terms with you, you're not going to be advanced to where you could be. Because God didn't make you a knockoff of somebody else. God made you the original you. And rather than live your life as a knockoff, you could be a real thing. And if you find a way to get to yourself, I think this book is one way to help get you there. I can promise you that all the fog in your brain will leave and your change will come. Your change will come. Your change. Don't you give up. Your change will come. Your change. Oh, change will. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. And for you that are in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the Village of Howard. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and you that are watching us on various media platforms, we are happy to be with you another Saturday morning to give our report on where the action is. Certainly all of you watching us around the world on Impact Television. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Harder. Our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. Give our drummer and our little orchestra son, Chris. And let me welcome again and thank her for coming, Shakita Brooks LaShaw, Administrative Center for Medicine. Thank you for being here and giving us information. And of course, the preeminent pastor and certainly my little brother. You know, when you have family members, you ain't got to talk every day, it's just family. And then sometimes you talk 3 times a day for a week. That's how family is. But I asked him to come, and he's going to do a book signing right after the rally. He didn't know he was going to have to do a sermonette this morning, but that's what family do to family. Dominique said Uncle Mike can handle it, don't worry about it. And so and I'm telling people, particularly our radio audience and you in Impact, that you need to get this book. Because the book, you know, when he first said, he does Keeping It Real with me every Tuesday, and when he first said the name of the book was Searching for Agabus, and a lot of you are Bible scholars that don't know who Agabus was. And I didn't want to tell them I didn't know who Agabus was. And I've been preaching since I was 4 years old, so don't feel ashamed. A lot of y'all watching on Impact ain't heard of Agabus till just now. So that's why you need to get the book, because it's about embracing your authenticity and finding you. And he's going to do a book signing, and you that are not here to get a book, you can go online and get it from Amazon to FCBC, all kind of places you can get it, but you need to get it so you can catch up with you. Give a hand, Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. And if I sound like I'm pushing the book, I am. I don't push the book. I know because he's a member of our board and tight with me, because you got members of our board write books that I wouldn't push. But this is something that you need. Also want to recognize the presence of my friend and brother, big supporter of National Action Network, former congressman from Florida. Give a big hand to our, stand up. Give him a big hand. Kendrick Meeks. And Kendrick Meeks was one of the few people, and particularly in the Congressional Black Caucus, that succeeded his mother. His mother was the congresswoman. And many of you knew Carrie Meek and her work down through the years. And she was succeeded by her son. And so he had the unique problem of not only having a mother telling you how to act, but then she could tell him how you act in Congress because she did it before him. So she mentored and mothered him at the same time. But we don't have a better supporter and friend than Kendrick Meek. Give him another hand. On yesterday, in that lane of talking about Carrie Meek, yesterday it broke all over the news that my mentor, Reverend Jesse Jackson, has decided to retire from Rainbow Push, but he definitely told me, in fact, he came on my radio show to say he's not leaving the movement. And certainly you all know that he's suffered the last few years with Parkinson's, and he was here about 2.5 months ago, right here, Saturday morning, rallying. You saw we had to help him up the stairs and put him in his wheelchair. I had him speak. We really don't speak that well. But he fought a fight and has earned all of our praise and gratitude. And I remember, Pastor Mike, that after the rally that Saturday, because we didn't know he was coming. They opened the side door and they wheeled him in. And after the rally, we were in the back of the conference area, and he said, Al, I want to go to Sylvia's. I said, what? He said, I want to go to Sylvia's. I said, well, you know, I don't eat that stuff no more. He said, well, I do. I want to go to Sylvia's. So I told Dominique and Ashley, who grew up under him, they spent Christmas at his house. And that was the annual thing. I said, well, we're going to Sylvia's. Y'all should go do a family thing. So we all went to Sylvia's. And as we were talking, I thought about this yesterday. He said, you know, Al, he said that you are blessed that you're in the second generation of dealing with this lineage question in civil rights. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when I was growing up in the movement, and John Lewis and Julian Bond, all of them around the same age, he said, we never planned on how we were going to retire, what benefits we were going to leave our family, none of that. He said, because all of our mentors were dead by 40.
Right,
Martin Luther King was killed 39 years old. Malcolm X killed at 39 years old. Medgar Evers killed at 39 years old. He said, so we planned to be gone. Because we had no model to study. He said, then we woke up one day, we were 50 years old. We didn't know what to do. He said, so you had the advantage of seeing how we age to know how you should handle getting older. And that's really heavy because it shows our struggle. We just got, you know, when you hear a lot of young folk, Kendrick, me talking about, we the young activists, we the new things, well, we really just adjusted to how we deal with 2 or 3 generations on the front line. Because we never had that option until about a generation ago. We don't know what Dr. King, I'm leaving today, going to Atlanta. I'm going to speak at one of the funeral services for Dr. Christine King Ferris, Dr. King's last surviving sibling. And her son asked me to come give a few remarks. I'm going to Atlanta and do that after I do my TV show tonight. And I thought about with her, that generation could never plan how they were going to get old. And therefore, the young activists never had to deal with how do you deal with these seniors.
Come on now.
So you can't get mad at young activists today because this is the first time we've had to even deal with that. So I tried to set an example of exalting and praising those that came before me because it's the first generation to do that. And I'm trying to establish a model. That's why I always talk about Reverend Jackson and Reverend Jones and those that invested in me. I always try to give my elders credit. Michael Hardy, all of them that came along. You would think you were getting out of here. But I want to thank God for the mentorship and investment that people like Reverend Jackson gave in me. And as I told him on the air yesterday, and I told him in private, talked to Jesse Jr. just a few minutes ago, that his work is bigger than just his organization.
All right now.
National Action Network is part of his work. And people that went to Congress and went to high office, including black president and black vice president, is a result of his work. So give a big hand. Give him. Jesse, Lewis, Jackson, give him a big hand. I remember in 1996 when we opened our headquarters on Madison 125th, which we had the ribbon cutting ceremony. The opening night, former Mayor David Dinkins, the only black mayor till now, and Reverend Jackson cut the ribbon. And Reverend Jackson was the keynote speaker, and in the speech, he said that the reason he likes that we're on the ground, that's why I never wanted more than this double storefront or something. We're looking at some property now, but I'm still keeping on the ground. Is that I want people to be able to, that don't want to go in a church, or don't want to go in a cathedral, and don't want to feel like they got to dress up, and who gonna look at them. I want people to roll out, just like they are. And Jesse said in that speech, we don't need another cathedral. We don't need another temple. We need a house of justice. He said we need a place where the Diallos and the Luimas can come. They may not have been a member of a fraternity. They may not have been a member of a church, but they know they can go to the house of justice. And that's when I got up and said, that's what we're going to name this. Jesse Jackson named this the House of Justice. Let me also recognize, I'm glad to have welcome here from Mississippi. We have 2 visitors, Janice Dupree, April Dupree Taylor. Y'all stand up. Y'all stand up. Mississippi. One of the things as we talk and think about our elders, one of the things is that we must deal with finding ourselves i.e. wall runner. And then also, as you find yourself, realize where you are in time. Because one of the confusions of a lot of ministers and a lot of public figures is they are experts on the past, but have no analysis or action in the present time. Dr. Walter and I was talking. There was a time that certain churches and organizations represented what was needed at that time. But time moves on. And people in a different time need different ways of being ministered to or being activated. So what we do in NAM, we learn from the principles of those, but we have to apply it to the time in which we live. God goes from generation to generation. That's why even in the Bible, it always talks about lineage, but it didn't stop there. Prophets talk about, I come in the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they didn't imitate Abraham. No. See, a lot of us get stuck. Even when Jesus came, Jesus, first chapter of Matthew, brought his lineage back to David. Got the book? Brought it all the way back. That he was in the line of David. But Jesus didn't go out and get a slingshot looking for Goliath. Lineage has nothing to do with how you manifest in the time in which you live. So when I say that, we're looking at right now this week, Congressman from Arizona got up on the floor talking about, I think it's Eli Crane is his name, talking about colored people. Well, I ain't making this up. And at one time, preachers could just make up anything, but they got Google now. You say something out there, they're going to Google, actually Google you before get out your mouth. Congressman Eli Crane talk about colored folk. Tuberville, senator from Alabama, said that, well, he don't know if white nationalists are racist or not. That ain't enough for you. In over 20 states, they're changing the voting law. Right now. The Supreme Court, a third of which was nominated and put there by Donald Trump. 3 out of the 9 are Trump appointees, which means that when they got those 3 in, he already had Clarence Thomas and Alito, so they knew whatever they wanted to do, they could get done. And what did they do? Stop affirmative action. Killed it. Oh, right now, well, they just, it's slim. Well, you think it's slim? Came out Thursday. Several red state attorney generals have sent letters. State attorney general send you a letter. That's top officer in law enforcement in your state. Sent letters to Fortune 500 companies in their state saying, based on the affirmative action ruling of the Supreme Court, you cannot use race as a factor for employment, for promotions, for board seats and contracts. Once the Supreme Court makes a ruling, that's the law of the land. And in the ruling it said that race cannot be a factor in admissions to school because the 14th Amendment, which was not what the 14th Amendment said. So it's spread now to where now many of the black businessmen, Kendrick Meeks, that support NAM or call them in a panic, they can lose their contracts. Because many of them got their contracts based on we got to do a certain amount of business with blacks. Some of you highfalutin, look down your nose, bourgeois, can be fired because they no longer need to make the C-suite look diverse. Some of you that thought you escaped are now under threat. And the question is, why has there been no response? I saw 50,000 people at a rally for Donald Trump in South Carolina. 50,000. Yet somebody got to beg you to go to Washington August 26th to stand up in this climate. I'm telling you, the march in Washington is not a house shopping march or Martin Luther King III march. It's to stand up in these times about all of these things that's happening right now. 60 years ago, when they had the March on Washington, they marched then because Jim Crow was the law of the land. They marched then because they didn't have voting rights. And they went to Washington in the back of buses. You gotta remember, they couldn't go above the Mason-Dixon line and ride in front of a bus. They had to go and use the bathroom on the side of the road, but they weren't allowed to use public toilets all the way through the South. They had to put some chicken sandwiches in greasy paper bags, because there was no restaurants that would serve them until they got North America. Yet, with all of those conditions, they still came. 250,000. Here you are, can fly first class, can stay in any hotel you want, can go to any bathroom you want. Yet you about to lose it all in your face. And somebody got to beg you to stand up for yourself. I'm not asking you to go to commemorate 60 years ago. I'm asking you to go to continue to fight right now. Well, Reverend Howell, I heard that y'all talking about you want everybody to march. Well, everybody marched in '63. It wasn't just blacks. And we all are under attack. They are killing, hate crimes are up for blacks, for Latinos, for Asians, for Jews, LGBTQ. Well, you know, I ain't with all that coalition stuff. Well, first of all, most folk I know that hate gays or Jews, you know they hate blacks. I don't know why you think they're going to separate hate. So since we targeted together, we need to fight together. We may not agree. We may not agree on everything, but we agree that we all should live. You got a movie coming out that I got a screening of this week. President Barack Obama's company's putting it out on Bayard Rustin. And Bayard Rustin was the organizer of the '63 march. They would not let him play a upfront role because he was gay. I'm talking about black leaders. Say, well, you know, Bayard, you put it together and you do it, but you got to step back. And I remember when I was youth director of New York Breadbasket, Bill Jones and Reverend Jackson pointed me when I was 13. When I was 16, they all started fighting in SCLC and splitting. Reverend Jackson left and formed Push, And Reverend Jones stayed with Adam that I didn't want to get in the middle of the fight, so I went and started National Youth Movement. I was 16. I'm going to start a national organization. That story right there, Essence Magazine, when I was 17, first year of my youth movement, first national article done on me when I was 17. They hang it up so the other kids can see that I was younger than them, trying to build a youth organization. And I had this idea that I wanted to build a national organization with all of the youth components of different cities. So I went to see the guy who was the architect of organizing, Bob Rustin. And I made an appointment. He saw me. He knew who I was from Breadbasket. And I said, Mr. Rustin, I said, I want to build a national youth movement. He says, all right. And he says, what is going to be your mission statement? I told him, I'm going to do voter registration, going to do youth training. He said, okay. He says, and how you going to finance it? And I stopped, I froze. Because I was 16, I was still home living with my mother. We was barely making it, but I didn't have to worry about it. The welfare check was coming, mama was scrubbing floors. I said, I don't know. He says, you must raise money, Sharpton. He says, so you need to go out and get you some people, get 10 or 20 people that are investing in your dream. I said, all right. And I got up to leave. He says, just a minute. And he says, Rochelle, and you hear her name in the movie. And this lady, Rochelle Horowitz, who was his secretary, she came in and he said, give Reverend Al a check for $500 to start his youth movement. So Bob Rustin gave me the money. I started my youth group. I told that story, Michael Hardy, at A. Philip Randolph Institute's anniversary about 3 years ago, because that was the organization Bayard led. And I told that story about what Bayard had done. And when I got finished and sat down and people was up applauding and all that, an older white lady stood up about 10 rows back, raised her hand and said, can I say something? Who was moderating knew her. Said, of course, you're one of our pillars. She says, I just want to say that Reverend Sharpton is telling the truth, because I'm Rochelle Horowitz. I gave him that check. So I'm saying that I had invested in me people that made history, but they didn't invest in me to know about what they did. They invested in me to apply those principles and skills to now. Otherwise, they wasted their time. Michael Warren come up under Reverend William Jones. That was his pastor. Studied at some of the best universities, best schools. But all of that don't matter if he can't apply in Harlem in the 21st century what it is he was taught. And too many of us are skilled, but irrelevant. Yeah. You know so much and apply so little. You know how to quote everybody, from Howard Thurman to James Cone, but you don't know how to deal with a young boy with mental health problems getting chokehold to death on a subway. So what does your ministry mean when the folk you preaching to are being cut off of Medicare, or misapplying Medicaid, or don't know if their job is going to last, or living in homes now where we, because of climate change, got 100 degrees and they can't afford an air conditioner, and you sitting there preaching to them about how smart you are rather than how we need to organize and deal with the times in which we live. Delusional living and delusional preaching to confirm and cement delusional living. black folk walk into the church or walk in the rally with phony jewelry. Ain't nothing more pitiful than a Negro flashing phony jewelry. I mean, got all kind of rings, all kind of chains around the neck. Even put a little gold tooth. Ain't none of it real. Where if you put in that same energy, you can get one real thing than all that phony mess. Don't settle for being a fake. Reverend, God didn't call you in Moses' time. He called you in your time. You need to know Moses' story, but then you need to apply it. Because you ain't got to go to the Red Sea. That's been done. You ain't got to go to the Jordan. That's been done. But you got to deal in a time now where our children are being choked with student loans, being shut down with killing of affirmative action. You got to cross that river. Otherwise, you are an entertainer and a performer, not a preacher of the gospel. That's why a lot of us love entertainment. Entertainment was a level of escape. Our board member, Michelle Ebanks, just took over at the Apollo Theater. Yeah. One reason the Apollo was so hot is because in the days where even New York had its bias, you go to Apollo and forget for 2 hours. Y'all run around acting like LGBTQ was new. You go to Apollo and see the Jewel Box movie.
Oh, yeah.
Preacher tell me the other day, I don't know all this stuff you talking about, gay rights and all that. First gays I met was in the church. We didn't discover gayness now. Half the choir was gay. Half the organ players. I ain't doing nothing over there. We are lying to ourselves. God did not make a mistake. He put you at this time, in this place, to learn from those that come ahead of you, to apply it in these times. So the God I serve, I studied everybody from Abraham through Moses. And I'm convinced that the same God that can open up Red Seas, same God that could take Joshua into Jordan, same God that can take little baby and fight Goliath, same God that can take the heat out of the furnace for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That same God will give us the strength to fight the Donald Trumps and the Kevin McCarthy. If we stand up, God is still on the throne. And I tell you something, if you find yourself, those that come after you will not know how to handle you. Because you become so secure in yourself that they are full of envy, jealousy. But if you just be secure in yourself, they will hurt themselves coming after you more than they will ever hurt you. You know, there's a part in the Bible we always talk about. I just referred to 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and how they played the music. King Nebuchadnezzar had made an edict that when you hear the music, you must bow to my gods. That was the law. Just like some misguided evangelicals is trying to make their opinion and interpretation the law. You bow to music, you bow to the music I play. And some snitches went and told Nebuchadnezzar that we noticed that there are 3 guys you put over down in the province that the music play and they don't bow. There's always going to be somebody tell on you when you have the nerve to be different. They still got some snitches running around here. Even in the church, you got some holy snitches. A few years ago, they were running around hollering. Talking about, I don't want to stop them shopping, but there's this guy on 116th Street, he don't have the church right. He got a little chorus group, and they be singing something different, then they bring out something, he sit on a chair. Snitching, that, I'm talking about wall rock. But then the same snitch, a few years later, I went by to speak for them, and they had a chair and was trying to do what he was doing. If you just do you, God didn't give you an idea for you not to manifest that. So here's the part of the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego we missed. We rushed. Said they brought him before Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar said to them, I heard these things, it's being alleged that when the music play, you won't bow. I'm going to give you an opportunity. This is life now. That's why I want y'all to read this book, Searching for Agabus. He said, I'm going to give you a chance to not be yourself. I'm going to give you a chance because I'm going to have them play the music. And when they play the music in front of me, if you don't bow, I want you to know the consequences. There's consequences to you standing up being who you are. He said, if you don't bow and concede who you are to be what I tell you to be, I got a furnace and I'm going to heat it up and throw you in the fiery furnace. In fact, I'm so mad, I'm going to heat it up 7 times hotter than ever before. And they played the music. And he looked, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, in my imagination, hooked to this life or death. Shadrach looked at Meshach and said, I can't bow. Y'all can do what you got to do, but I can't bow because God has been too good to me. I understand if y'all want to go, but it's like Warren said in the message this morning, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know the corners I couldn't turn. You don't know the days I gave up. You don't know the times I thought I wouldn't make it, yet God made a way out of nowhere. I came back. Abednego said, well, since you put it like that, he's been away when I didn't have a way. He's been help in the time of trouble. He's been my rock in a weary land. I want you, Shadrach, I came back. So they put the 3 boys in the furnace. Just watch this. But what we go through too quickly, Ashley, is they say that the ones that put them in caught on fire. The ones that were putting them in the furnace, they got burned up from the flames they were putting them in. But when they looked in the furnace, the ones they threw me in the furnace got burned up himself. I've lived long enough to see folk that call me names. They got burned up and sat down and watched on Showtime, loudmouth. God will cool you off in the flames and burn up your enemies if you stand up. I was telling some of my staff the other day about this being comfortable where God made you. I said, you ever see a bird on a tree? Drum said, yeah. I said, you ever notice how a bird just sits there all content? Doesn't seem anxious. Doesn't be running around, looking around, just sitting there. And you would think that the bird would be anxious because the wind could blow and make the branch bend. And it could even be worse than that, and some real strong wind could come and snap the branch. Don't you think the bird know that? I said, probably. So, well, why ain't the bird anxious? Because the bird's strength off of Walrun ain't the branch. The bird knows no matter what happened to the branch, it got wings. And if the branch give out, they can fly. If you know who you are, it don't matter come what may, you can handle it because your strength is already in you. It's not dependent on what is around. That's why I learned how to handle my critics and envious people differently. Tell you about another bird. They got eagles. And they tell me that crows attack eagles. I was reading this the other day, a preacher used this illustration. Crows are jealous of eagles. Crows will attack eagles. And said that there was this attack on an eagle by a crow. And the crow come down and grabbed the eagle and started pecking at his neck. Can't really fight an eagle. Crow can't really fight you. But they can annoy you just take their beak and just beat on you. But the eagle didn't argue with the crow. Eagle didn't rumble with the crow. They said after the eagle kept pecking, all of a sudden the eagle just spread his wings and started flying and soared up into the sky. And the crow had wings too, but the eagle knew he was an eagle. That's what Walrun trying to tell you. If you're an eagle, just keep on flying. Because at a certain height, the crow started running out of breath. The higher he flew, the crows can't breathe at a high altitude. He started coughing and he started struggling. He couldn't breathe no more. I'm trying to tell you, if you embrace what God made you and fly and soar, there are places you can go that people that are picking on you can't fly that high. So I don't argue with the crows no more. I just keep on flying. Because the higher I fly, they gonna start choking. They gonna lose their breath. They gonna lose their way. God gave me wings. I'm gonna fly high. The reporter asked me, I'm gonna tell you this, I'll let you go. The reporter asked me, said, Reverend Al, doing this interview on Reverend Jackson, why did Jesse Jackson, wasn't even in your time, wasn't as old and refined as some of the ministers you were under, why did he become so dominant to you? I said, well, you gotta remember, I come out of a broken home. My daddy left when I was 10. We lived in a nice, beautiful home in Hollis, Queens, and had a Cadillac every year. My daddy left and did what he did, left us, abandoned us. My mother lost the Cadillac, couldn't pay the utilities in the house. For a few months, I had to do homework by candlelight. My sister and I finally, we lost the house, moved into the Albany Projects. I said, so I'm sitting in a room, 12, 13 years old, with preachers that came from a long lineage of middle class, their father, their grandfather, all had been big pastors. They all were comfortable, they went to the best schools. Only one in the room that didn't have that kind of background was Jesse. Jesse was born out of wedlock, went to A&T. I said, well, I can do what he does. I can't do that. My daddy wasn't a preacher. My daddy left. My granddaddy, I didn't even know that well. So I knew what he did. So I was attracted to the possibility of what I could be because it matched somebody that had the same kind of background that I had. They said, wow, I didn't know all that about you because they only know the MSNBC outshot. So I didn't know you came up. Oh yeah, I come up the rough side of the mountain. I said, in fact, the parable, if I was going to use a story in the Bible, and I'm going to really let y'all go on this, I'd say the story that I would use is they say that Jesus was out ministering one day. And he had gained such a reputation, Kendrick, that wherever he went, it was jam-packed. And they say he was ministering one day, and the place was so full that you couldn't get in. And this man came with a paralyzed son, and he was trying to get in, believing that if he could get into Jesus, that Jesus would heal his son of his paralysis. And here they're believers, but they wouldn't make room to bring the boy through the crowd. They were one that loved the neighbor, but they didn't make room for the boy to get through the crowd. They knew the Beatitudes, but they wouldn't make room. So the Bible said that some of them went on the roof and dug a hole in the roof. And they dropped the boy through the roof. And when Jesus saw that faith, Jesus healed the boy. I want y'all that are watching us on Impact to know, I couldn't get through the crowd. There were others that were before me. They all had degrees I didn't have. They all came from lineage I didn't have. I did not come from an applaudable background. But I thank God that I had a mother that climbed up on the roof and said, I don't care how it happens, if I can get him to Jesus, he'll make my boy whole. There's healing if you can dig a hole in the roof. And I know I'm not what you look for. I'm not one with credentials. I wear my hair combed and I do talk real bold to folk, but I was dropped through the roof. God picked me up and said he may not have come through the crowd, but he's in my hands. He walks with me. He talks with me. He tells me that I'm his own. Some of us been dropped through the hole, but God will make a way out of no way. Yes, he will. I know he will, because he lives. I can be tomorrow because he lives. All doubt is gone. Yes, yes, yes.
God sent his son. They call him Jesus. He came to love, heal and forgive.
Sing it like you mean. We want justice. We want freedom. Got to have justice. I'll open the doors of the movement. There may be someone here today that never joined National Action Network. You hear us on radio, you watch some of our activities on television, but never became a member of the organization. If you're here today, just come down to me. Even if you don't have membership dues, just come on and shake my hand and join National Action Network. You that are watching us or listening on radio, you can call right now. 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, and someone will sign you up on the phone. Come on, if you're here, just come to me. Everybody sing.